everybody, welcome to the Black Sheep Props channel. I'm Steve and I'm here to teach you the tips, tools, techniques, and materials for building your very own super cool EVA foam props. Now in our last build we went video game when we built the drum gun from Fortnite. Awesome! And if you missed that build, we're going to include the link in the description below to our channel's homepage so you can go over there and check out Drum Gun or any of the other cool builds there. But for this build, we're going to go ancient. It's been a while since we've gone ancient, so we're going ancient. Alright, so without further ado, Black Sheep Props would like to introduce you to the newest member of the family. Woo! Yeah! Grand helmet right here. Dig that. It is the Samurai helmet. Wow, man, that thing's crazy. You've got the cool flares here, the big fanned out back piece, our horns, our little cymbals, a bunch of spikes on the head. Man, this thing is cool and easy. Look at that thing. Wow, tons of details, really simple paint job. You can go as crazy as you want with the paint job. We went simple, just gold accents on black. In this episode, making an EVA foam Samurai helmet part 1, we're going to begin going step by step through how to make it. And if you want to build along with us, we have a template for this too. So we're going to include the link in the description below to the storefront so you can go there and pick up a template if you want and build along with us and have your very own Samurai helmet. So, if you're ready to hit it, let's make something. Alright, here is the shell of our Samurai helmet. We're going to use 12mm foam for this. We're going to use the bandsaw to cut these out. You can completely use a box cutter for most of this and an X-Acto knife for sharp corners, but we have a bandsaw, so we're going to rip this out on the bandsaw. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to heat shape these three pieces, and this is really, really easy stuff. You've seen us do this before on some of our other helmets. It's this simple. We just take a couple rolls of tape, we stack them up, we have a styrofoam ball, and we're just going to use that to bend our piece around there. So what we're going to do is get our heat gun going. We're going to really heat this up so it gets soft, and then we're going to shape it. You just move it around the ball and squeeze it down and hold it, and we're going to get a slight curve on it. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit. Helps us when we start gluing it and sticking the helmet together. There we go, slight curve on both pieces. That's all we need. Nothing too drastic, just like that. Alright, let's get the middle. We'll do the middle first, actually. Hold it. We do one arm at a time. We did the center, the crossroads. Now we're doing each arm. See that? We got a slight curve in all three pieces, and that's all you need. All the way down into the middle. Same thing on this side. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. Nice and smooth. Give it a couple minutes, let it dry, and then once it dries, the cement will make contact. Flush contact right there at the top like that. We want to try to not have any edge sticking up. I think we're in good shape right there. There we go. Alright, just like that. Now we'll come to this side, do the same thing. Now we're going to come and do these, and we have our registration marks. So when we make a nice flush connection, we also need to do a little bit of muscling because we want the registration marks to line up perfectly, just like that. See that? Alright, let's bend it down. Perfect. Now, right on the end like that. Perfect contact. Very nice. All right, now let's go down our seam. Make sure we're looking good, and boy, oh boy, we are looking good, man. That seam is tight. Pretty cool. There's our dome for our helmet. And all right, we're gonna do the visor next. And it's a simple piece. We've got a 2mm and a 4mm. There's our pattern drawn on there. Really easy stuff. We're gonna come in and we are going to now we're going to take that 2mm piece and we're going to stick it down to this 4mm, so we have this cool little recess detail. But before we do that, we are going to get our Dremel out and we are going to slightly round this edge over. All right, there we go. Now we've got a nice soft little edge on the inside. All right, there we go. Give it a couple minutes. All right, now we've got a thin piece of 2mm foam. And now we're going to make all these details up. So you can make up whatever details you want. We're going to do a bunch of circles, a bunch of squares, because when you look at pictures of samurai helmets, they've got a bunch of that on it. We're going to do some real specific designs from some pictures, but we're also going to make up a lot of circle details and squares. So we're going to come in with a sharpened brass tube and a 2mm piece of foam, and we're going to poke out 2 of these rivets for each side of our visor. All right. Perfect. Put a puddle of super glue down just like that. That's it. Get the bottom wet. Get it right there in the corner. Stick it down. Come over to this corner. Stick it down. About the same amount of space on each side. Alright, now we're going to make a base for this to stick to the back just like that. And then that base is going to attach to the helmet so that it sits on an angle like that, all right? And it was really easy how we did it. I'll show you how easy it was, okay? We took an inch thick piece of foam, which is what we have right here, and we knocked off a piece just like that. Now you can make this any size and any angle you want, okay? So we cut that off. Now this is how wide we want the piece right here. So it goes right on there like that. We want it 1 inch wide. And then here's the angle we want it on. So after we did our first cut, we're going to come in and we're going to cut our angle to be the exact angle that we want. All right, so let's get our knife ready. We're going to saw through just like that. All right, perfect. Now we've got an angle to stick right to our visor like that. And now we're going to come here and make the cut right on this piece so we know where it's going to stick to the helmet. All right, just like that. All right, that simple. Okay, now we're going to come in and we're going to stick this down to the back, and then we're going to stick this to the front of the helmet, and it's going to be exactly what we wanted, just like that. Make a mark. Right on the side of the piece, just like that. Okay, there we go. All right, nice. Built a little wedge, put it on there at the angle we wanted, the width we wanted, and it's not too wide, so we've got the ability to bend this, which is what we're going to do. All right. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to curve it. All right, so we're going to get our heat gun ready. All right, there we go. Got a slight curve on the bill. We didn't want to go too crazy, just a slight curve. All right, let's move that out of the way. All right, now we're going to begin doing this really cool front detail piece to our helmet. Really simple stuff, but we've done what we always do. We have kind of funky shapes set up, and we have guide shapes set up, and the reason we're doing that is we want to be able to layer things up, know that when we stick them all down, everything is perfect, and then do an outer cut. All right, so we're going to come in with a really couple simple pieces. These are two 3mm pieces right here, and here's a 4. So what we can go ahead and do is prep this piece real quick, which is just going to be straight cuts right on our Sharpie lines. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 3mm piece and we're going to cut this center window out. And it's kind of tight, so we're going to use our X-Acto knife. All right, just like that. Okay, now we're just going to lay it down right over our Sharpie marks. And lay it down carefully, don't just drop it down. There we go. Because you don't want to distort it. All right, dig that. We got the nice little recessed window down in here. That is pretty cool. All right, there we go. We've got the nice little recessed area down in here, okay? Now what we need to do next is we need to cut these two little pieces out so that we can then come in and stick this down onto here. All right, so we're gonna make sure we have a super sharp X-Acto blade. Kind of tough cutting that little corner in there, but if you're careful, you can do it. This is when you stand your knife straight up so you can get a really super tight pivot around these corners. Cool. All right. Okay, we're going to line our edges up real carefully. Okay, there we go. Flush here, and flush on this side. There we go. See, once again, you can't just drop it down. You got to take your time, line stuff up, bend it in place, because even though you draw your lines, foam bends. All right, now we're going to be cutting this piece out. So what we have to do is transfer our template over. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. Check it out. Really cool. We've got 3 layers now. We've got this piece, we've got this middle piece here, and we've got this top rim. All right, so because we're getting a little bit thick back here, we're going to do these little bottom cuts on the bandsaw. All right, there we go. Check that out. Nice. Now we're going to come in with our X-Acto knife and we're going to cut All right, now you see why we did what we did, why we lined it up and we used our outer markings to make sure everything was lined up perfectly straight. Very nice. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to round the edges of these pieces with our Dremel. So let's get our dust mask on and let's do it. Okay, now we have to point out this dremeling tip as well. We've done this before. When you're coming to a tip of something, because of the way that the Dremel bit spins, if you go right off of the end of the tip, it's going to spin around and catch the tip and tear it. So you don't ever want to go off the end of a tip because it'll pull it and mess it up. You want to go flip it around and you want to go into the tip because that spares the tip, all right? So we're going to keep going and we're going to stop before we get to the end. Then we're going to spin around and come in from the tip and it'll spare the tip. Alright, spin it around. Now come in from this side. See that? Alright, see that? It spared the tip. stop right before you get to the end, turn it around and come into the tip. And then to do this side, you go into the tip, and look at that. We kept a really nice, super sharp point. Now we've got a nice, soft, rounded edge. We kept our points really nice. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little bit of a support to go around the back because it's kind of flimsy. We want it that thin, but we want it to be stiff. So we're gonna do that by keeping it on the thin foam with the rounded edges so it has that nice, thin, kind of tapered look, but we're gonna put a support on the back of it. All right, so we've got this thick piece of 10mm foam. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trace around our piece. Okay, now we're not gonna cut this exact shape out, okay? We're gonna cut inside of it. We want it a lot thinner than that. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in way to the inside like this. All right. All right, now we're gonna go over to the scroll saw and we're gonna cut that out real quick. Okay, there we go. We cut it out. We didn't really be super careful because it's just gonna be a support. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this around and we are going to put this on the back so that it gives us some support. Now you'll be able to see it from the back, but you won't be able to see it from the front. But what we're gonna do too is we're gonna really round this off just so that it'll have a rounded back to it. All right, there we go. We rounded off the edges. Now, no one's really gonna see this that often, but it just has a little bit of a nicer look when you do catch a glimpse of it, that it's rounded off and not square. All right, so what we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna seal this real fast. Stick down. Now remember, don't just drop it down. You gotta bend it. All right, there we go. Now it's stiff. See that? Perfect. That's all we wanted. All right, cool. Now this is gonna come in and it's gonna go right on the front of the helmet like that. That is super cool. So what we're gonna do is the same way we built this little wedge right here to keep this thing on here on an angle, we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna build a little wedge so that this attaches to the front of the helmet on an angle. So we're gonna do a little bit of figuring and then we'll show you what we came up with. Okay, we've got a 3/4 inch piece of foam. All right, we're gonna put a little wedge right there at the top, just like that, sitting on that ledge. So what we did was we transferred it over to our 3/4 inch foam. Okay, now this has to tip back a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to cut this. Here's our wedge, but we don't want it to be square. We want the front of it to be kind of slanted back at an angle. So instead of just cutting that out where it's going to have a flat front, we want the front to angle back. Probably about that much of an angle. Instead of the straight front, we want the angle. All right? Just like that. All right? So there we go. See that? We've got an angle on the front now, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back over here and we're gonna transfer our pattern back over. All right. And we're gonna slice right through our lines. All right, so there we go. We've got an angled front. Now when we come in and we, ooh, it's gonna be at the perfect angle. That is. Put it down. Just like. All right, so that's where the two pieces are gonna make contact. Here. Put pressure on the front of the helmet so it sticks to there, and then we're going to put pressure down here so that it sticks to the top of the bill. All right. Sweet. All right, we're going to begin building the circular piece on the top of the helmet and the 4 straps that come off of that. So we're going to use 4mm and 12mm to make the center circle detail, and then we're going to use these 2mm to do our straps. All right. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, and we used the same diameter of this piece to be where our cuts are going to be, just like that. So they match up perfectly. All right, so we can come in. All right, there we go. All right. All right, now we're going to take this piece and we're going to put them together. All right, so what we're going to do first is this. We are going to cut this out, and then we're going to round it with the Dremel, okay? So we're going to cut this on the scroll saw real quick. All right, there we go, just a soft round edge, all right? And now this one, we're gonna tear it up. We're gonna round it off, okay? We want it to be a dome. All right, we're gonna tighten up this foam. After you Dremel, I like to tighten it up. Wow, really cool. We're going to set it right there in the center. Now, as you can tell, the helmet is round, but our piece is flat, but that's okay because we're going to put a lot of pressure on it, and we should be able to get it to stick all the way around because the foam we're using is not that thick. All right, there we go. Sweet, simple little detail. All right, there we go. We've got strips 1, 2, and 3, and there's the mark for how long it needs to be. Here's 1, 2, and 3, and then the excess on this piece right here, we've already measured for number 4 right there. All right, there we go, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's put our mark down for 4. All right, there we go. We'll do 2 straps at a time. Make contact right down the center, and then just push the sides down. Just like that. Perfect. Sweet. There we go. Man, is that simple. Really simple stuff. It's coming along nice. Look at that. All right, now let's do this cool symbol that's going to go right in the front. All right, here we go. We've got 2mm and 4mm. Now this should be pretty easy. All right, now we're going to cut these pieces out of our 2mm foam using our X-Acto. All right, let's get our triangles out. There we go. All right, let's see what we got here. Perfect. All right, now our little circle detail. We're going to put this down, and we're going to get all of our pieces put inside. All right, but first what we're going to do is we're going to soften the inside of this circle with our Dremel. Just like that. All right, there we go. There we go. Right there. Okay, now we bring the rest of our template in. right, there we go. All right, now we've got our dust mask on. We're going to Dremel. All right, there we go. Look at that. That's nice and rounded off on both sides. All right, let's seal it. That's pretty cool. All right, let's figure out the way we're going to attach that on there. Okay, this is going to sit right in the middle, and we measured. We want it kind of flush with the front of these, so we're going to make an inch deep spacer, okay? So 1 inch deep, just like that, and we're going to stick it right to the back. That's simple, but what we're going to have to do is where that spacer comes in contact with the front of the helmet, the front of the helmet's got a slight curve to it. So see that line there? We got to cut just a slight little curve first. Right? Let's see what we got. All right, now we're a little bit wider than we want to be, so let's cut this off right here. All right, now these kind of things, these 3 spacers we've done for these pieces are a little bit of trial and error. All right, so here's our curve in the front, and it should stick right to there perfectly, which it does. Look at that. All right. There we go. Golly, that's cool. There you go. So far so good. We've got the whole top cap of the helmet built. We've got the strips, the 4 strips and the little round detail, and we've got all this raised up jazz on the front, the bill and the horns and the logo. Really easy stuff. Just take your time and you'll totally nail it. Man, really cool. This thing's cool. All right, so that concludes making an EVA foam samurai helmet part 1. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, share us with a friend, and subscribe to this channel. And together we're going to go step by step through a lot more super cool builds so that you get the props you deserve. Thanks for coming. See you next time.